Hello and welcome to the road.cc. Now, a brilliant Tour de France bike, one of the nicest looking paint jobs in the pro peloton is this giant TCR SL from Bike Exchange. This is the integrated seat post model. Let's dive in. The giant TCR of Team Bike Exchange is a lovely machine, and we took a look at the bike of Aussie Nick Schultz. Nick has been a rather active rider in this year's race, but he hasn't been stupid with his efforts. Schultz cleverly infiltrated a breakaway on stage 10 and was just inches away from claiming his first win at the Tour de France. But sadly for him, the new king of Denmark, Magnus Cort Nielsen, just had a better bike throw. Given the way that Schultz was attacking on the climbs and then sprinting at the end of a brutal day, we'd expect to see a lot more of the Aussie before the race reaches Paris. Right, with this bike, the one standout feature is the integrated seat post. That means that all of this is one piece of carbon. It gets made that way. You've got to measure 3 times and cut once, because once it's cut, if you cut it too short, there's not much room to go back up. Bike Exchange run Shimano Dura Ace on their bikes, and this is, despite the crankset being the old 11-speed model, the 12-speed group set. So we've got the 12-speed shifters, the brakes that match, we've got the front and rear derailleurs, and then we've got 12 speeds on the rear, and we've got the big old chain rings at the front. The bike that we have here belongs to Aussie Nick Schultz, and he has the new standard 54-42 tooth chain rings at the front, and then at the rear he's combined that with a massive 11 to 34 tooth cassette. Schultz is a bit of an all-round rider, but he does specialise in the hills, and as such his bike is set up with 42mm deep Cadex carbon tubulars. These have carbon spokes as well, and so they are incredibly light and probably very stiff too. The tyres that are on these wheels are the Vittoria Corsa G 2.0. These are the tubular model. They are 25mm wide, and they're a lovely tyre. They've got a lovely cotton casing and a latex inner tube, so they're a very supple tyre. Looking up at the front of the bike, we also find one of the more interesting features, and it is that this bike doesn't hide the cables inside the head tube. We've seen that move from so many, like Specialized with the SL0, the Ineos Grenadiers Pinarello Dogma F. Both of those have the cables hidden away for those tiny little aero gains, but one thing that we can say is that this bike would be a lot easier for the mechanics to work on. Personally, I don't mind the aesthetics of the exposed cables. I quite like the ease of maintenance, but what do you think? Let us know down in the comments below. Should cables be hidden away? So when this bike was first launched, it was all about stiffness to weight, and I have picked up this bike with the carbon spoke wheels, the low profile, the narrow tyres. It is a very lightweight bike. I'd say that it's probably easily down at the UCI's minimum 6.8 kg weight limit, and you could probably build it a lot lighter. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to open up the bottom bracket and see a few lead weights inside the axle. Now, the Cadex wheels, if you didn't know, are a Giant in-house brand. That means that they produce them, and Giant also produces the bar, the stem, the saddle up here. They also do the tape. So really, all we've got going on here in terms of brands is Shimano for the gearing, we've got Giant for everything else, and then we've got Vittoria for the tyres. So 3 brands on one bike is not a lot these days. In terms of Schultz's setup, he's got 172.5mm cranks. He's running the 160 rotor on the front, and he's got this lovely little 3D printed number plate holder there. This is a really tidy build, and it's one of my favourite bikes in the pro peloton. But what do you think? Let us know down in the comments below. Remember to keep your eyes peeled for all of our Tour de France tech. It's coming out very soon. And before you go, remember to like and subscribe. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.